right, so we are here for the February school board meeting. Let's stand and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll follow that with a moment of silence. Amen. All right, Mr. Martin.
All right, welcome to the February school board meeting. And more importantly, happy birthday to Mr. Adam Yeager. First on the agenda is consent agenda. Are there any questions regarding that? With that, I'd like to make the recommendation that the consent agenda, financial report, and board minutes of the regular board meeting held on January 9, 2023 be approved as submitted.
All right, so we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion.
Motion by Adam. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jessica. All right, any further discussion? All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
All right. Up next, we have school board training opportunity. I know that we've had a couple express interest in attending the Consortium of State School Board Association annual conference that's in Tampa, Florida. And so I wanted to provide you with this is up here, it's outside your packet, a cost of it for each individual per attendee. If you go, the registration's right at it's $600. When I looked online, flights are around $600, hotel around $800, and meals. So for each participant, it would be about $2,250. Seeing this is something that some of the board may want to do, I thought it would be good for y'all to discuss it as a whole. And behind there's just the agenda and the registration link. I'm sorry,
Have you ever
agenda.
attended this before?
No, ma'am.
It's the first one they've ever had.
It is the first one?
Yes, ma'am. If you'll remember, last year, the year before, Arkansas School Board Association decided to withdraw from the National School Board Association. I think they had about 19 or 20 states, somewhere in there, that did that, and this was their response to severing from the National School Board Association, is to create this association so that members could be part of it for, for networking, for growth, and for collaboration.
And all these hours count towards board member meeting hours.
I believe, yes, ma'am.
Do we know if any of our sister districts are sending anybody representation?
I do not know.
Okay.
Who all looking to attend?
Well, that was my question. Would it be where everyone would need to attend, or just people, the members that?
Well, I think that's where you get into, if that's the direction you want to go. I don't know if you can ever have a year where everyone
Not
can
at that price.
attend.
Right.
And it is at $22.50 a person. It is cost. It costs more than a normal conference.
Right.
I didn't know if that was if that's something y'all want to do, where a couple members go a year or what.
Right.
From a budget standpoint, we do not have it in the budget this year. It's something that we could work into the budget for upcoming years and everything. We can work with Ms. Brunel on that.
So just for my sake, you're talking about school covering all costs?
Well, yes, sir, that's what the cost would be.
Okay.
Now, am I okay with us not covering all the cost? Absolutely. But that's a roundabout guesstimate on what it will cost for someone to attend. You know, it's $600 to register. Your flight's gonna be right around $600 from what I looked at. Hotels, I didn't check, but it's usually around $200 a night for a hotel. You would have to stay for 4 nights. And that's just the per diem that we pay for,
Like any other.
for meals, yes.
As far as how we would decide who goes this year, would we vote, or how would we? Because it sounds like we're not thinking of sending everyone.
Well, this doesn't require a vote because on a purchase price, it's a micro purchase still.
Yeah,
I think this is just something that if y'all are wanting to send people, that y'all have that discussion. And
Gotcha.
that's what this meeting's part of, is having
yeah,
those
it's
discussions.
informative.
Yes.
Okay.
I think you have districts that everyone goes, including the superintendent. You have, and maybe not this one, I'm just talking about
Right.
national conferences. You have it to where they have a rotation, to where maybe the president, vice president, president, secretary, go. You may have a rotation where your newest, well, or new member, you know, it's a conference that a new member goes to when they come onto the board and everything. So I'm sure districts work those things out. You know, all districts are different when it comes to that.
Okay.
But by us doing this, we're going to be taking any opportunities away from students or from teachers being able to go to conferences and do things that are going to impact the students, right?
Well, if it comes out of operating or professional development, yes, ma'am, it does pull from that pot.
Okay.
Because when I say put it into the budget, I'm creating a line item for it almost. Does that make sense?
Would it come from the same funding as when we go to a state conference or like
Yes,
a
ma'am.
district? It's the same?
Yes,
pot?
ma'am.
Gotcha. It's just more because it's
Yes, ma'am.
national.
Well, to be honest with you, it's more because, you know, your registration's the same. Basically, your hotel cost is the same in Little Rock, Arkansas as it is in, is this one St. Petersburg or Tampa?
Tampa.
Okay, Tampa, sorry. And your meal per diem's the same. What's different is transportation costs.
Right. Are you wanting more feedback or?
Well-
Yeah.
I don't see how, if it's, the only difference is the cost of the transportation, everything else is what we would regularly spend on any meeting, correct?
The
For
same,
the-
registration, hotel, meal, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind saying that okay to at least 3 members going, if they were wanting, that would be what I would say was being open to.
Right, or around the equivalent of, if we all went to a meeting in Arkansas, I know it'd be less, but
Yes, ma'am.
if not everybody's going, it kind of, in certain ways, would
Balance.
balance.
Yes.
Because not everyone's going, so there's not the cost of everyone, is
Right.
kind of what I'm saying.
Right, yes.
Mhm.
Is this available virtually?
I don't think so,
think
I
so.
looked at the
Um,
link, but
It's in.
Yeah. John, I don't know.
Just asking.
it might be.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, because it looks like they have you in different locations.
And there's breakout meetings.
Yeah.
It's more to get the experience of meeting people from different states, I think, that are in education.
I would assume it's probably not.
Curious.
You make more
Yeah.
people show up. So that's it, y'all. I guess my thing is, from my standpoint, I would prefer if this is something that we're wanting to do, to push it a year so that I can build it into the budget and not take, and be prepared that way. I would just like some direction on if that's something y'all are looking at, how much to budget.
Right.
Does that make sense?
So when do teachers and principals turn in their training and their conferences that they want to go to.
We're working on that currently.
So you'll have that number, and then we have this number, because if it's not in the budget here, I want the teachers and the educators to get their professional training.
Sure.
Absolutely. They need to be priority. This here needs to be secondary, and I think with it being brand new, you need to look at officers going first,
Okay.
and then do another tier, like the next year, do 2 more people go, or the next year, or a new person, rotate it through,
So a rotation.
a rotation. I mean, that's my feedback, I'm not saying, hey, but that's just my feedback.
I think that's good.
Think so
Okay.
too.
So maybe looking at president, vice president next school year to go, and then.
If there's interest, if they don't want
If they don't,
to,
they could pass it to someone else. Yeah.
then go to the next
So
person.
2?
I'd say 2,
Okay.
max.
I think given the cost, two is a max. And again, I mean this very sincerely when I say it, and I know this is very difficult to answer. What do we get, what is the gain from it nationally? I'm just asking, like, was there a thought on you're meeting some other school districts, yes, but.
Sure. I think it's the opportunity for different types of professional development that they offer.
Okay,
You have breakout sessions there's 5 offerings, and then you have some sessions where there's 20 plus.
right.
I think it gets down more into detail over specific areas compared to going to one of the 3-hour events that we have locally.
Yeah.
And I think getting to hear a different perspective,
Sure.
This is nice.
I think, but I think we need to look at it as
Well, I think Arkansas is ranked 42nd in education, so it'd be really good to hear from like the top 5 states in the nation, like what are they doing? Since we're kind of leading the way for our school, I think that would be a benefit.
Okay, I can work on
For next
that.
year, for 2?
Yeah, that's.
well, let's take a look at the budget
Sure.
and make sure that we have, but if we have it, then,
Yep. Yeah, no worries.
Okay.
We will work on that for next year. Are y'all ready to move on to the next item?
Yeah.
Because I know I am. Up next is our SROs proposal for next school year. We have, where'd they go? Oh, Lieutenant Fowler.
they moved on you. Okay.
And Officer Fowler here. Officer Fowler is outstanding SRO for us. Lieutenant Fordham is kind of overseeing that project right now. One of the things what I hear from our community, and I think y'all do as well, is that they would like a SRO at each campus. And so the proposal that we're going to bring to you today allows for that. One of the things that we're wanting to do is to be proactive on a daily basis and to ensure that our campuses are safe and meets the needs of all students. And you do that providing a safe and respectful environment for everyone. And to make that happen, you have to have a layered approach to safety and security that you're doing in your building, and also the programs that we're dedicating to. And next month, we're going to talk about school safety and all the programs that we're running and everything from mental health to bullying to prevention and all those things. But today, we're going to talk about SROs a little bit. And last October, and it was finalized November 1, we had the Arkansas School Safety Commission that Governor Hutchinson had come out, and the final report was released in these 7 areas. And it was general recommendations, which that's just that. It was like policy and procedure. And then you get right down into it, the mental health prevention, the cybersecurity, the law enforcement and security, the audits, emergency operations plans and drills, intelligence and communications, and physical security. Our SROs help, in my opinion, with 5 out of the 6 of those. The cybersecurity one, not so much. That's more Mr. Taylor's avenue. But those 5, they help us with every day and are an integral part of that. And inside that recommendation on law enforcement security, the recommendation number 1 was campuses should always have an armed presence when staff and children are attending class or a major extracurricular activity. And it also went on to say that the Arkansas School Safety Commission continues to maintain that ideally every campus building where staff and students are present should have a school resource officer present. You do have the, and I know I called, where it's like a certified safety officer, that the school district employs, that their only job is to be an armed presence, but they are not an SRO. But that they have 60 hours of training?
60.
Is it 60? Okay, 60 hours of training compared to the continuing experiences that our police officers have. And when we get into that, that's why we're recommending to have an SRO at each campus. Now, we would also like to increase that to where one of our SROs is here year-round. And the reason why for the year-round is, I know school ends May the 28th or 29th or whatever it is, but the very next Monday, we will have 300 plus kids on campus with athletics, with camps, with summer school, with summer school, with we can't call it space camp anymore, but what we are going to, what we do for learning loss and everything. Our school does not shut down except for the last week of June and the first week of July, which is technically the AAA.
Dead weeks.
Yes, ma'am, where kids can't be on campus. So we have enough kids on campus that I feel we need at least one during the summer to keep us safe and secure. And this is all about providing an armed presence on all campuses. It's about having a safe and respectful environment. This also allows us our summer activities, our practices, camps, summer school and events. And the best thing I see out of this, proactively addressing our issues, but if we have an SRO on each campus, we can provide programs and education and training that is grade band specific for those kids. I'm so excited that if y'all approve this, that we can do bicycle safety for some of our kids. We can do internet awareness for the correct age ranges, all the way to dating violence at the high school level, and having our kids have programs that are tailor-made for their age range and everything, that our SRO can work with, our auxiliary teachers, our classroom teachers, with our counselors to help our community and our kids be safer. There is a price difference. Last year we we're right at $145,000 before overtime. I think with overtime we'll be at about 175, 180. We're not finished with the overtime piece yet. With ball game duties, this 275 for 5 SR, going from 3 to 5 and 1 full-time, also includes 500 hours of overtime. So that will help absorb that cost. This is not the true cost to the program. The city is pitching in their part as well. Now this also, if y'all approve it, we cannot move forward until the city approves it as well. Does that make sense? Because they will be adding personnel, because we're basically a purchase service of SROs, and they're city employees and not school employees. Would y'all like to add?
What would you like me to add? No, this is, I've talked to Mr. Martin about this quite a bit, with things not changing as far as some of the safety issues at our school. This is something that I think will be beneficial, not only for the schools, but the community as a whole. To also add, again, those classes and special programs that we can offer, also having that armed security. The chief and I are very adamant to even our patrol officers. Our patrol officers are supposed to be making constant stops at the schools and patrolling not only the hallways, but the parking lots. And this just also adds to our ongoing active shooter training, which we do every year in your schools, as far as very realistic training. And, God forbid something would ever happen in one of our schools, I think we are really prepared to take care of the situation. So All that being said, this would be extremely beneficial again for the schools and the community as a whole.
So
Yes,
to
ma'am.
calculate those 500 hours of overtime, you took those by the amount of time that they've been doing it so far, or
It's a guesstimate.
from the time the game starts, from the time?
Yes,
you
ma'am.
leave?
You gotta remember, Friday night football games have a lot more overtime hours than a standalone basketball event that may require only one SRO. A Friday night football game requires 4 or 5 SROs. A basketball game requires 1. And so a 500, I think we can stay within that. The one thing that we will be doing is we have been covering the cost for security for every event, whether it's a PTO, whether it's, no matter what it is, we may ask if an organization has an event where we feel security is necessary, that they will pay us for the overtime rate of the officer being there. And we will just be a pass-through and send that to the city. Does that make sense?
I would like to add to that also, the city does absorb some of the overtime. So if it's an event we're contracted for, like a ball game or a school dance or something like that, then the school pays it. But if it is criminally related, so if I'm investigating a case and have to stay over an hour and a half, instead of the school having to pay overtime for that, the city compensates with comp time at times. So.
My goal is to have an SRO at every campus.
How does, so we would have one on every campus. How does that compare to the other schools in our district, otherwise?
In our area?
In our area.
I'm sorry, yes, sir, in our area, you can't be staffed more than that. You'll find you're seeing districts doing a blend of the certified school safety officer and SROs. Every school, every district in our area is trying to move to as many, to meet that one-on-one, that one-to-one ratio as possible. I can get you those numbers. I've got them, they're a wee bit old.
Yeah, we've talked about it in the past, and from what I recall, it was, nobody was near 1-to-1.
Correct.
After Uvalde, I think, if you have an event, heaven forbid, on campus, and you don't have somebody present, I don't know how you answer those questions to your community.
Right.
A lot of districts in the area, various ways, how do I get an armed presence on campus? And we've talked about it quite a bit, school security officers and different things, but, they have specialized training, our SROs do. We have a fantastic relationship with our city, our chief, and our SROs. And so if you bring in this certified school security officer, well, you've got a different armed presence that may or may not speak the same language. They have 60 hours of training in August, or what happens when your event's in April, and maybe I don't remember as fresh as earlier in the year. And so this seems to be the best fit for our school district, and what we feel like and what we feel keeps us the safest. And so that's the recommendation, I think, from Mr. Wilkie.
I have a follow-up. So each SRO would be assigned to one school all the time, like the primary, so they could build a relationship with the
Correct.
teachers and staff, which would create a sense of community and security.
Yes, ma'am.
Plus, the kids would start to know who the officer is because they'd be there daily, just like a staff member.
Yes, ma'am.
And the budget for it is already there, or, I know we have to approve it, but I guess my question is.
We can afford it.
Okay, that was my question. Okay.
We can afford it. When I talked about being a growing school district, this is one of the benefits of being a growing school district, is that you get to you have the opportunity to add programs from time to time. And the school resource officer program is one that we've added to. I think if you ask our average parent, they want an armed presence on each campus, and our community does as well.
So Jessica and I went to a training, and they had the 3 different, and you talked about the armed,
Sure.
I call them the equivalent of like a security guard.
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
Versus officers versus armed teachers.
Mhm.
Officer Fowler, I would love to hear your opinion on armed teachers versus, again, I know it's not the right term, security guard, but security guard versus having actual police officers? And either one of you.
You mind?
No, I don't mind.
The thing you get with the security guard is just a gun and a person. They don't work for us, we don't train them. They may be involved in some of our training, but again, if something happens, we don't know if they're the first out the door. 'Cause
So
they
the
don't have-
60-hour training isn't something you guys oversee?
Mm,
Okay.
I mean, we would probably, and, you know, do some type of training for them, but they would work for the school district, they wouldn't work for us.
Okay.
Where with armed teachers, that's completely obviously up to you, but as far as police officers, we have constant training. We put on, again, active shooter training, firearms training, tactics training, plus the equipment we bring to the table. I just purchased every officer tactical shields and light of Uvalde as far as taking rounds coming down a hallway. Now we are able to have shields as we go in, tactical equipment, our helmets, our breaching tools, our certifications of knowing how to use those things, whereas the security guard doesn't have any of that. So really the security, and then not only to mention that crimes do happen under school, our SROs are the ones that respond to that and investigate that. Having security guards, you just had 2 or 3 SROs and the other security guard, if a crime still happens, the security guard can't investigate that. An SRO has to come, or a police officer has to come investigate that. So having one in each school would also be able to spread that out amongst the SROs a little bit more as far as investigation goes. Yeah, I think ultimately, you know, having that police officer is almost like his or her own little unit, and then they really take ownership of that campus and can provide those programs, those teaching opportunities because of the experience, the training that we have, plus all the training and stuff that comes with that. So as far as, and I've talked to Mr. Martin about getting high quality, high level SROs. We're not talking necessarily putting rookies or the guy that's retired on duty. We really want, we are fortunate in this city that we have very great support from our community, and we are not struggling hiring police officers as opposed to some other communities. So we think we can get really high level SROs in the schools.
So you're gonna get us 4 more Mindy Fowlers, right?
I hope not. Well, we have the 3, so it'd be 2 additional. So,
2 more Mindy Fowlers then.
sure, yeah, I can work on that.
All right.
I just feel that the SRO is a better option for us than a certified school security officer.
I agree. I just wanted to hear somebody else's opinion
Sure.
instead of it just being us sitting here saying that. So, yes. All right.
Anything else? Okay, with that, I would like to make the recommendation that we approve an increase in the number of school resource officers contracted with the City of Pea Ridge for the 23-24 school year from 3 to 5 full-time officers, with 1 officer being contracted for 12 months.
All right, so we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion.
Motion by Adam. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
Next, we have approval of, as we continue to grow, we have to grow our staff, to consideration for an intermediate middle school assistant principal position for next school year. Ms. Markfield, do you want to talk about this?
Yes, I just want to tell you a little bit about the why before we ask for any increase and stuff. I think it's important to realize that we're getting close to the threshold that requires a 0.5 assistant principal, which is 500. Where we're not quite there yet and won't be, you know, probably next school year, but in the next immediate future. But with the academic needs and the things that are increasing, we see the need to add a split assistant principal between the middle school and intermediate. Ms. Tabor and I had the opportunity to meet with our current principals, and we discussed a variety of options, what we thought would be best for academic coverage, what we thought would be best for supervising, what we thought would be best for school safety, all the things that are out in front of us that we're considering special education, all the needs that are hit in those campuses. They've had amazing success, and we've seen some growth in with using our instructional facilitator split between those two campuses and the connectivity it has caused. And we really were able to speak articulately to that. Ms. Bowen had actually served as an assistant principal between two campuses, so we nailed out the pros and the cons. And the four of us felt that this was the best recommendation because it allows us to keep our instructional facilitator and that momentum growing strong. And it allows the assistant principal to have defined similar roles on both campuses, so we won't walk in the door, say at the intermediate school, and this is my role here, and over here at the middle school, it'll be something different. So this allows for a better alignment to meet the needs. We tossed out a lot of creative options. I think Ms. Bowen's not here, but we threw out all the things. And last year, before Ms. Allen became our principal, she was a facilitator split between two buildings. So those ladies had just lived that experience, and we just threw out all the things and poached holes in each other's plans and ideas and felt this was the best recommendation to bring to you today. We feel like with our budget, Ms. Brunel has approved this position, and this is something we would like you to consider. Any questions? Okay, that's all I have.
Okay. With that, I'd like to make the recommendation that we approve an intermediate middle school AP position for the, assistant principal's position for the 23-24 school year.
All right, so we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion.
All right, we have a motion by Sarah. Do we have a second? I'll second. All right, any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
Up next, we have a student services report. Mr. Ramey?
Our food service balance is $478,458.46. And so our budget there continues to be really strong. Last Friday, I had the pleasure of spending about 2 hours at the high school working with our food service ladies. And behind the scenes, the attention to details that those ladies go through, from measuring everything that we do, to preparing for the next day. You know, we're finishing lunch, we're cleaning up, and they're getting breakfast stuff ready for the next morning. And the hours and the time and the way they go about their job is to be commended. I had a great time with them, but all of our kitchens operate the same way. And so it's a testament to Ms. Ferguson, but also her team as well. And so we're really proud of them. In the last month, we've had 2 inspections from the state in regards to facilities and transportation. We had our driver's records checked. Teresa Dean is responsible for kind of maintaining all of that documentation. They check everything from, do we have current driver's license to drug testing, random drug testing, physicals, and everything's up to date. And Teresa maintains all that. When somebody's about to expire, she gets them to the doctors or anything that they need. And we got a clean review, which was really good. We're really proud of it. And so she's to be commended for that. The second thing that we had happened last week, twice a year, the State Department walks our facilities. They come on site and they check everything. They check our fire extinguishers to make sure that we're doing our monthly checks to make sure that they're all working properly and that sort of thing. They walk buildings and classrooms to make sure that we're in compliance with little things such as you can't have an item stored 18 inches or closer to the roof. And so for fire code, and so they walk and make sure that we maintain that distance and note when we don't. You can't have Christmas lights in classrooms, and when they do, they write you up and all sorts of things. And so we went through all of our buildings last week. We had a couple areas to note, and so we've made those corrections, and some of them are on all minor stuff that could be, if you got Christmas lights in a classroom, you take them down, it takes 30 seconds. And so just little things like that, nothing major reported, but we were pleased to go through that. The other thing was noted in our study session in regards to maintenance and facilities and all that, is that there's a changeover happening right now. And Mr. Stein referenced school due. And that's where we turn in our work orders. That's where we if we have a room that didn't get cleaned or anything, we turn in for custodial, needs to come and deal with this. So, we've got a TV that needs to be hung or something. But the state has changed to a new group called Operations Hero. And so we did our first kind of overview of what that's going to look like. And the change from school due to Operations Hero, now we've started working with our maintenance team as to what it's going to look like on their end. But then what that rolls out to our staff and everybody. And so it's going to be an ongoing process, but it'll start in August. And so we're starting now to kind of learn about that new system, what it looks like, when will the changeover for us happen, which we're going to be one of the first schools in Arkansas. So we'll see how that works. But we do, just initially, we kind of like the program. It's an updated software and a lot more user-friendly, so we're excited about it, but it's a change. And then the last thing that I'll just report on, because it's from a safety standpoint, but we've been touring and are continuing next week with our local fire and EMS. And, they're a full-time unit now, and so we've been walking to all of our buildings with them to familiarize them with our floor plans so that they know where our electrical panels are at, where they know where our riser rooms are at in each building, what keys they need, and different things. And so to continue that partnership with the city and the SROs, we also are doing the same thing with fire and EMS so that they have updated, floor plans. They know where everything's at in the event that we do have any kind of emergency. They're on site and they know immediately where to go. We label all of our exteriors, A1, B2, C3 and stuff, so they're familiar with where those exterior locations are. So when they get maps, they know right where they're going. And so Chief Bowen reached out, and we've been doing that. We've got a couple more tours because they have different shifts. And so we'll do that over the next week or so, but it's been good from a safety standpoint, that they know kind of what's going on.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Up next, we sent you some policies. This is just the first reading. This is just giving you an opportunity, just please read them. If you have any questions, please let us know. Please remember, this is not going to be the first set of policies that we send you with the legislative session that is going on. I would expect a lot of changes coming through policy and everything in the near future. And we have to have all of our policies adopted, I believe, by June 30th for next year. So we'll be working on that for the next 5 months. Yes, ma'am. Oh,
I was about to say, I think it was in June.
Okay, up next, we have our teaching and learning update, and that is Ms. Tabor.
Sure. About this time last year, we were talking with the board about, within the state, some of the plans that they were pushing out to help us with the teacher shortage and recruitment and retaining of teachers. And one of the goals that we had at that time was to start a grow your own model so that we could support our students who wanted to be teachers and getting connected to our schools and then helping them get started on their education to do that. And so we were approved for offering the educator prep program with concurrent credit through NWAC for our students. In the fall, we started that with 5 students. We have a 6th student who's joined us in the spring. And so we wanted to just update you all on that. We have some pictures here. They have completed, last semester they completed about 25 hours of field experience across our 5 campuses. And this semester they're doing even more. 2 days a week they spend their class period in either the primary or the intermediate in a classroom, working small groups, working one-on-one with the teacher. We also have 4 students who are tutoring after school, and we're able to pay them as student employees because they have, you see the picture there, they're going through our HR team and getting their fingerprints and getting their official badge. So they've started tutoring. They attended several conferences throughout the fall. One of them at Arkansas Tech University, a state conference, one at a local regional. And at the state conference, one of our students actually placed 2nd in impromptu speaking, so we were very proud of her for that. The team itself prepared for an ethical dilemma, presenting a case on an ethical dilemma. And so we hope to go back to that conference again next school year. And then I have a few more pictures.
Sorry.
You're fine. This is just showing them doing some of that learning with the teachers in the classroom. We also spent the fall semester bringing in program directors to help them better understand what it meant to be a teacher. And so you see them doing an activity there with Ms. Shackelford, our social worker. But we've been very proud of them and the work that they're doing, and very excited to see them. All of them, after one semester, still hope to be teachers. That none of them changed their minds, and we even recruited a sixth, so we're doing well. And started recruitment for that for the next school year as well. We just got our approval to actually make that program an official career and technical education program, which means we're now eligible for state funding after we live it for another year. So we'll be able to get some different resources for our program. The next one.
Hang on a second.
Oh, sure.
I want to also tell you that Ms. Tabor did all the work to become the certified NWAC teacher. She submitted all her transcripts. You have to be an administrator level to do that. And she submitted it, pestered them till they finally approved her, but she's the one that's going every single day. With Ms. Conyers helping too when she gets bogged down, but she's the one who actually acts as their professor. So in addition to helping it, she's also teaching. So we need to thank her for all
Thank
her
you,
work
Ms.
for that. We're all jealous that she gets to do that.
Everyone, that's what everyone says. Is that not the best hour of your day? It really is, yes.
Okay, are we ready now?
Yes.
Sorry.
We also, this spring, you probably have seen a lot of social media, especially because we got iced out on several of our activities. But we were approved for a second round of our literacy grant for this school year. It'll be this year and next year in that second round. It funds, the majority of it goes to fund Lexia Core 5, which you probably see the Lexia superstars on social media, but it's an intervention for literacy. But it also has funded this year our One School, One Book program that we had at our elementary campuses. And so you probably have seen, put a screenshot there of Mr. Martin reading a chapter of the book from the intermediate. The primary has coming up their decoration contest where they will decorate a dog sled, that's a part of their book, or draw a pig. And the middle school has been reading Out of My Mind, which is an excellent book if you haven't read it, and connected to their empathy lessons in school. And so we're really proud of our elementary campuses. Our librarians have really led the charge on this, and they will be connecting to parents at parent-teacher conferences to kind of help promote the learning from that literacy event as well.
Yep. The work that Ms. Tabor and Ms. Markfeld are doing, our principals and our teachers, it's phenomenal. We are now through, in my opinion, through the pandemic when it comes to, but we are still addressing learning loss. And the work that our teachers do day in, day out to help address learning loss it's inspiring when you see it and you go into classrooms working with kids and everything. They're there every day and they are working diligently to do the very best we can for our kids.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Up next, 24-25 budget. Okay. Every year we have to approve a budget that is 2 years out. And this is required by law. It's required by law. It is for the proposed budget of tax expenditures with tax levy for the fiscal year beginning July 1 of 2024. And when you look on that second page, what it's about is the state foundation aid, about how it's distributed out. But there's more to school funding than that. So every year we have to approve this budget based on these 8 criteria, in the reality knowing that our actual budget will not be this budget. Any questions? Okay, so with that, I'd like to make a recommendation to adopt the attached proposed budget of expenditures with tax levy for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024, to and including June 30th, 2025, and to approve the related sample ballot.
All right, so we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion.
Motion by Sarah. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jessica. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
Up next, we have a bus purchase request, and I placed in front of y'all the invoice, I forgot to put it in the packet. It has masters on the top of it. You know, as we continue to grow and everything, we need to become more flexible in how we can transport students. We have some districts around here, they are using 14-passenger minibuses to transport small groups of kids. That can be field trips, athletic events, day-to-day operations, you know, just during the school day. The wonderful thing about these buses is they do not require a CDL, which means any one of our employees who have a valid driver's license in good standing can drive the bus. Perfect example is Miss Miller went last week, and I believe Miss Coots did as well, down to Prescott for one of their events, and they had to take two of our minivans, to take seven, 8 kids. We could reduce that down to one of these, which is safer and everything. This bus has all the safety features that a school bus does. It has the flashing lights, and to be honest with you, people respect the yellow school bus more than they do a Toyota Sienna minivan and everything. And so it easily identifies that this school bus, kids and everything. We're at the point where it's very hard to find bus drivers. This will provide some relief for that. Whether it's the golf team going going on this instead of a school bus, whether it's a basketball team going to a tournament on one of these instead of a school bus. I know they're a little bit pricey, but all vehicles are. But what this will allow us to do is to better provide transportation services to our students and not necessarily have to use our bus drivers to drive all these routes because, one, I don't have enough of them, and that's two as well. We just don't have enough of them and everything. They are about $95,000 a piece. But when you think about it, a lot of vehicles are in that price range now. A school bus is a lot more than that. These are air conditioned, high quality vehicles.
Cameras?
Oh yes, ma'am. They will not have the 4 to 5 cameras set up that a normal school bus does because you're looking at 14 passenger instead of 71 passenger. You're just simply not going to need that. But yes, ma'am, it will have a camera system, all that stuff. The other good thing about it is that they are, I'm going to call them regular gas or unleaded, whatever it's called. They're not diesel, and so a lot of times our faculty and staff feel better about filling those up than a diesel over there with the 18-wheelers and stuff like that.
That was gonna be my question. I would think that the fuel cost would be a lot less too, I don't know, compared to.
I think it's probably a push.
Okay.
Where we'll see the gain is we're not going to have to use our minivans from a safety issue. We're not going to have to rely on our wonderful bus drivers, but
Right.
it's a strain on them to drive events and trips and everything. And another perfect example was choir and band. Last week or the week before, I can't remember, with all the ice and snow enclosures, they can take a minibus
Right.
down there and be a lot safer than a minivan. So I think it's good for our students, and I think it's good for our staff as well.
Yeah, so it's more the practicality.
Yeah, right now our fleet is a bunch of large 70-passenger
Right.
buses, and we have two minivans. One minivan, I think, has 140,000 miles, and the other one has like 165,000 miles. So they're getting older,
Yeah, that was-
and they're pushing. But we get trip requests all the time. It seems like 7, 8, 9 students constantly. Well, we can only get 5 in a minivan, so it's either take 2 or it's take a 70-passenger bus, which is not cost-effective.
Right.
And so
And
this
these
gives us some flexibility.
These also have storage in the back, so let's say the golf team was going, they can securely transport their golf clubs without them.
Well, that was
Going
actually my
everywhere.
follow-up. Are we gonna keep the minivans if we get the new
100%.
buses?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And we're probably going, in a few months, we'll probably bring you a request to purchase
One more.
probably another one.
Gotcha.
Because I have that, with our staff going in everywhere, it's so much cost effective for us to send vehicles than to pay mileage. And I feel it's better for the employee as well. because when the employee is in a school vehicle, it's school insurance, it's,
Right, so
you know,
you
it's,
don't not
it's
just for
protect,
students.
Well,
it's protecting the employee more.
Yeah, last week, over a Thursday, Friday, we had 5 requests over those 2 days for minivans, but we only have 2.
Right.
So, 2 people got them, or groups got them, so the other 3, we had to put in personal vehicles, because we weren't gonna take a 70-passenger bus, and then you get into just what Mr. Martin said, they're not taking a school vehicle, so it's not school insurance
Yeah.
technically, and they're just better protected, and so to do right by our staff, to do right by our students, this is the best option.
Gotcha.
Now, students are always transported in school vehicles.
Yes.
Right.
But let's say, staff members want to go into Hot Springs for a conference, I don't know. I feel much better about putting them in a school vehicle where, they're on school business. Our insurance is the one responsible for it, because when we pay mileage, if there's a wreck in a personal vehicle, well, we're paying you that mileage. You're not on our insurance. Does that make sense?
does.
You're not on our insurance.
Yeah, and I was just wondering if this was an addition or a replacement, and you answered the question.
No, ma'am. Well,
Right, add to our fleet.
I think we're always going to be adding.
Okay.
Another thing is this will not come out of general operating. These purchases have been approved through the State Department for ESSER funding, and so it will not come out of general operating. So this is a one-time expenditure, and it will come out of ESSER funds.
Yeah, we do anticipate having them by, at the latest summer. We think we'll have them early summer by the latest, but they are on site.
Any questions? Okay, with that, I would like to make the recommendation to purchase 2 14-passenger buses in the amount of $185,968 from Masters Transportation.
All right, so we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion.
Motion by Adam. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Sarah. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
Up next is approved bids and contracts for E-rate services. Mr. Taylor?
About 8 years ago, we purchased new network switches for all our buildings, which didn't include the new high school at the time. Through an E-rate project. They were refurbished at the time. That was the best options we had through the bidding that we did. We were needing to get them replaced. So I went through our E-rate process, the bidding process, and we have some contracts in front of you for that. Just to clarify, in case somebody's familiar with E-rate, on your phone bill, there's a universal service charge, a little line item. You wonder what that line item is for, whether they take $6 out of your bill or $15. That goes into a pot of at the federal government level. The FCC takes it off, and then they divvy that out to schools for it to be used for internet purchases and also networking inside the schools. And they discount a discounted rate based upon our free reduced lunch percentage. With our free reduced lunch percentage, we should be paying about 40%, so we get a 60% discount. So it's pretty hefty. It's not as nice as some of the smaller schools that they pay 10%. So that's what we got. So as part of the process for E-rate, we have to have you guys approve these contracts. We had to follow some federal bidding guidelines as far as releasing RFPs out for 60 days, I believe it was, and giving people vendors opportunity for answering questions. The truth is, we didn't get that many bids. For the additional internet option there that we have on there from Cox, we only had Cox bid on that because there are not really that many options for that. And then even for the other ones there, we had for one of them we had 2, but the rest of them we only had one bid. So, are there any questions? I guess we just need the approval of both that Cox contract and the next step contract. There was has a.
Yeah, Kellen, I do have one question.
Yes.
And I guess I probably should ask this before. The the Cox, is that a monthly rate?
That is a monthly rate.
Okay.
I actually-
All right, so that brings it over the $20,000 threshold.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then for that, the $20,000 satisfy the local requirements.
Okay.
For the federal requirements, I have to approve them all regardless of cost.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Any questions? This is Mr. Taylor has done an outstanding job with our technology infrastructure devices, getting grants, doing the E-rate and everything. We have a fiber network that runs to every building, and that's through his hard work in securing these. So with that, I would like to make the recommendation that we approve the next step bid and Cox bid as presented. Oh, and the contract, sorry, and the related contracts.
All right, so we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion.
John? John gets that one.
I got it.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second was Sarah. Hey, I did have a question. So the next steps is a one-time purchase,
Yes,
but then
ma'am.
the Cox is the reoccurring monthly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The Cox is basically our internet bill.
Okay, just making sure I understood Mr. Taylor right. All right, so any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay,
Up next is personnel.
all right. Do we see a need to go to executive session? Anybody? All right, so Mr. Martin.
I would like to make the recommendation that we accept the resignation of Robin Scott with regret.
So we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Adam. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jessica. Any further discussion? This makes me really sad, though. I mean, Ms. Scott has been here for a long time. so
She'll be missed. Yeah, I think
She will be missed.
she's probably around 15 years with us. So,
All right, all in favor? Any opposed? All right,
all right, with that, I'd also like to make the recommendation that we hire Abby Tabor, Ashley Hackler, Courtney Davis, Jesse Osborne, Morgan King, Barbara Blevins, Monica Luke, and Carrie Jones.
so we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion? Go ahead, Jessica motions, I'll second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay,
Next is transfers. I would like to make the recommendation that we transfer Jamie Barons and Carissa Cook, both from food service employees to cafeteria managers.
okay, so we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion.
Motion by Sarah, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Adam. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
That about enough on me. Up next is the renewal of contract renewals for our administrators and directors. Do y'all want me to read the list, or would you like to do it as presented?
I'm fine with as presented if y'all
Okay.
are. Anybody? Okay.
With that, I would like to approve the contract renewal for administrators and directors as presented.
All right, so we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion? I'll make a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jessica. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
And with that, renewing their contracts, I just would like to thank them for their work. Their work is nonstop. They have the pleasure of taking a phone call from me at any time, and their phones are never off. They work countless hours, and sometimes their work goes sometimes it's thankless work almost, but it is very much appreciated.
Absolutely, we greatly appreciate all y'all. Thank you.
With that, that's all I have.
All right, so I will entertain a motion or a
Motion to
recommendation.
adjourn.
There we go. Second? I'll second it. All in favor? Thanks, guys.